Let's begin this one with a story, boys. Joe has an assignment due day after tomorrow. He's sitting on his bed at 10 p.m. and he decides to get started with it. Just as he's getting started, a notification pops up. He tells himself, I'm going to check just this one notification and then I'm going to turn off my phone and I'm going to get started. No more distractions after this. I'm going to check just this one notification just for this 1 minute. So, an hour later, he finally puts down his phone. But now he's tired, he's sleepy. He says to himself, this is not how I want to be working. I want to be alert, I want to be focused, I want to be fresh when I sit down to work. What do I need? I know, I need to get some sleep. I'll go to sleep right now, I'll wake up tomorrow refreshed, and then I'll tackle this assignment head on. So he sets his alarm. He feels kind of bad, so he overcompensates. He sets his alarm especially early to make up. Next morning, he wakes up extra early. I shouldn't say he wakes up extra early, his alarm goes off extra early. He hits the snooze button, and as he's still laying there on his bed, he thinks to himself, the point was for me to feel refreshed. And I'm not. I'm tired. So not only does he hit snooze again, he turns off his alarm and goes back to sleep. Because if he's going to be productive, he needs his rest. He wakes up about an hour before his first lecture. And he thinks to himself, you know what? That isn't quite enough time to get started on this paper. And he tries to think of what he can do in this 1 hour, and he decides that thing that he had been putting off for way too long, for some reason he needs to do it right now. What he actually needs is just something to check off the list, just something to make him feel productive. So he gets that done and reaches class just in time. He has a pretty full day. Lunch goes a little longer than it should have. That conversation with a friend drags on for a little too long, and before he knows it, he finds himself back in the same spot at the same time. It's 10 p.m., he's sitting on his bed, and not only has he not made any progress, he's behind. He feels pretty bad about himself, but nonetheless, he knows what he has to do. He pulls an all-nighter and manages to hand in a half-assed report just on time. He almost boastfully shares with his friends that he got started with this assignment just the previous night and only put in a few hours into it. A few days later, he gets an assignment for a different subject, and the professor announces that it's due in 2 weeks. He promises himself that he's going to give it his all for this assignment, that he's going to write the best paper his professor's ever seen. Cut to 2 days before the due date, and he finally gets himself to sit down and start. He feels bad that he wasted the 2 weeks, but he's happy that he's at least going to put in 2 days of effort this time. Oh, never mind. The biggest problem with procrastination is that most of us don't even understand why we procrastinate. The most common excuses you will hear fellow procrastinators make is, oh, I'm too lazy, or oh, I lack motivation. But that's more often than not, that's not really the case. You'll often find yourself having chosen a particularly difficult class or having voluntarily chosen to give a difficult exam. So it's not that you don't want to do these things. You want to do them. You feel them. You are motivated to do them. You want to achieve these things. So that rules out lack of motivation, and you'll often find yourself doing something productive while procrastinating from the task that you need to do. So that rules out laziness as well. Well, if not because of lack of motivation or laziness, why do you procrastinate then? You procrastinate to protect yourself. Protect myself from whom? From what? You procrastinate to protect yourself from yourself. You procrastinate to protect you from judging you. You procrastinate to protect your fragile sense of self-worth from your own critical and ruthless judgment. Let me explain. You see, according to you, even if you don't consciously know it, you believe that your performance in any endeavor is the result largely of your ability to do it. Partly of the amount of effort you put in as well, but largely of your ability to do it. You study your ass off for an exam and you end up scoring terribly on it. You will start to question your ability or intelligence, won't you? Exactly. So you link your performance at any given thing to your ability to do it. And the thing is that we're very conscious, we're very sensitive about our abilities. In fact, we directly link our ability to do things with our self-worth. According to you, it's your ability to do things that defines your worth as a person, as a human being. So let me recap all of that. You associate your performance at any given thing to your innate ability to do it. And you associate this ability of yours with your sense of self-worth. Imagine if every test you gave, every time your performance at anything was being assessed, it made you question your self-worth. Well, that is exactly what it is. Now you understand the stakes. You are just thinking that you want to prepare for this ungraded exam, or I'm trying to get done with this assignment that maybe doesn't even carry a lot of weightage. But for your brain, not doing well on this one little thing would mean having to reanalyze everything it understands about who you are and what your position in this world is and how smart or how dumb you are. This being the case, how have you not gone insane by this point, right? How have you kept yourself together? More importantly, if this is the case, you should be giving it your all for every exam. You should be over preparing for every exam, right? So as to not have to question your worth. How does procrastination come into this? You see, there's another aspect to it. Remember the second variable to the equation of performance we talked about? Now, even though according to you, one of those variables might have a much smaller impact, anything multiplied by zero, right? So if you barely put in any effort toward the test, even if you were an absolute genius or prodigy, it would still somewhat justify you getting a bad grade, right? You would at least not have to start questioning your intelligence. And that's all that your brain wants. The poor thing just wants to not be judged, to not be questioned on its worth. And it's a win-win. If you don't put in effort for an exam and you do terribly on it, well, you get to tell everyone else and yourself that you barely studied for it. If you do somehow end up getting a good grade on it, you have that moment where you get to go, wait, am I a genius? The biggest need all of us have is the need to be seen as capable and able and confident. And because it's the primary paramount need, we will actually sacrifice or trade off other needs in order to meet that need. And that is where procrastination comes in, where we willingly sacrifice our performance by not even putting in the work so as to not have to question our intelligence, our capability. So how do you overcome this? One thing I want to say here is that the science ends here. We use science to understand what's really going on inside our brains when we procrastinate. Now we get into what my advice is for you. In my opinion, The only way to overcome procrastination is to break this performance equation. The world likes to believe that most people who succeed because of their luck or talent or simply because they're better than others. When in reality, most people who succeed because of their effort, succeed because of the work that they put in. So, in the most fundamental sense, this equation is flawed. In actuality, in reality, the equation is effort equals performance. Ability has a tiny minor role in it as well, but it is effort that majorly results in your performance. I remember for the longest time being the biggest believer in the former equation. I would see somebody succeed and I would think to myself, well, I couldn't do it. I don't have it in me. I am incapable of it. And as a result, I would experience an immense amount of jealousy, of envy, of resentment towards them. Of course, I did. You have two 8-year-olds sitting and playing beside each other. You separate them and randomly give one of them an extremely expensive remote controlled transformer toy, and you give the other a lollipop. How do you think the kid who got the lollipop would feel? Over the past year, I have consciously, purposefully broken down the first equation in my mind and replaced it with the second one. And I've internalized it to the extent that you can't convince me otherwise anymore. I don't know if in fact, I think it is delusional of me to believe that intelligence doesn't exist, that luck and fortune don't play a role, that there's no such thing as talent. But then again, I remember reading somewhere, why would you choose to believe in anything that takes away from your power? I believe that it's effort that plays the major role in anyone's performance, and that luck and talent are just sideliners. And I would say that this is definitely one of my most powerful mindsets today. Because you see, you operate completely differently in the world when you believe that your fate is in your hands, that you determine how your life will turn out, that you are on the driver's seat of your life. It, in a way, liberates you to give it your best shot, to give it your all, to put absolutely everything on the line. When I see somebody succeed today, instead of thinking, oh, he just got lucky, or oh, I got unlucky, or I wish I was in his place instead, or any of the other 100 thoughts you'll have that will make you feel miserable, the only thought that crosses my mind is, he put in the work, and so he got the reward. Fair game. I got to put in more work next time. I got to do better next time. How beautiful, how liberating, how empowering is that mindset? That is how you overcome procrastination, boys. Your self-worth is your paramount need. You'll go to any extremes to protect it as long as you believe that it's your talent, your ability that dictates your performance. You'll go to the extent of sabotaging your performance by not putting in the work so as to not have to question that worth. Replace ability by effort in that equation. Believe to your core that it's your effort, it's the work that you put in that dictates your performance. And you'll find that that same paramount need to be seen as capable and able provides you with an eternal source of energy for you to put in the work. That is how you overcome procrastination. Make your wildest dreams a reality, one day at a time, boys. I will see you in the next one.